This podcast is brought to you by The Senior Techie, a source of information for seniors and others about technology. Right now, sitting in your pocket, or maybe it's just resting on your coffee table or humming away on your desk, there's a device that is working to the point of absolute exhaustion.
Oh, absolutely. It's just constantly running.
Right. I mean, it's tracking locations you aren't even visiting. It's checking for sales that you really don't care about at all.
Yeah, and holding on to restaurant menus from places that closed like 5 years ago.
Yes.
Oh,
And it's doing all of this while you are just trying to, I don't know, send a simple text message to your grandchild or just look up a quick recipe.
and then you press a button and you just wait.
You wait forever.
The screen freezes up or gets really sluggish, and eventually, while you're just sitting there waiting, something starts dinging or flashing at you out of nowhere.
We have all been there. And, the first instinct is always self-blame, especially for seniors or really anyone who didn't grow up with smartphones. The assumption is usually, I pressed the wrong button or I broke it.
Oh, for sure. People are always so afraid they ruin the machine.
But the mission of this podcast is to reassure you that this digital clutter is completely not your fault. These devices, they collect junk the exact same way that, that one specific drawer in your kitchen?
The junk drawer, yeah.
Yes, the junk drawer. The one that collects stray rubber bands, dead batteries, and mystery keys that go to absolutely nothing.
I have so many mystery keys.
Right. Well, your phone is doing the same thing. It is just digital dust accumulating naturally over time. So today, we're going to roll up our sleeves and walk through some really straightforward, hardware-focused steps to clear that dust out.
And you definitely do not need a computer science degree to do this. We're talking about simple steps for phones, tablets, and computers.
And the payoff is so immediate. For older adults, and really for anyone feeling just overwhelmed by their screens, making these small changes will fundamentally reduce your daily stress. We want to help you turn these devices back into helpful tools, rather than these overwhelming distractions.
That is such a good goal. Because a phone should work for you, not the other way around.
Precisely. So let's unpack the actual mechanics of this. Before we just start blindly deleting things, we really need to understand why a device gets slow in the first place. Because, the feeling of a slow phone is very physical.
It really is.
You tap the screen and it feels like the machinery inside is just wading through thick mud.
Yeah, to understand that physical feeling of sluggishness, we kind of have to look at how software accumulates. The Senior Techie says some really fascinating things about how apps behave over time.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Well, think about it. You download an application once because, say, a grocery store offered a digital coupon. Or maybe you needed a specific app for just a single flight or a hotel stay.
Right. They always make you download the app now.
They do. So you use it that one time, and then you just forget it exists.
The human brain forgets, but the phone certainly does not.
That is so true. The phone treats that app as an active resident. It takes up physical storage space, yes, but it also might be running quietly in the background and occasionally pushing just meaningless notifications to your screen.
Okay, I want to push back on that a bit, just acting on behalf of our listeners. If I'm not actively opening these apps, like the grocery store app or the airline app, how are they slowing my phone down? It's just sitting there, right?
That's a great question. Think of it like a house where you've left 30 different radios playing softly in 30 different rooms.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Even if you aren't in the room listening to the radio, it is still drawing electricity from the house. Many of these apps are designed to constantly listen and refresh in the background.
So they're running 24/7.
Pretty much. They check for software updates, they track your location to see if you're near their store, or they download new advertisements so they're ready the next time you open them. All those invisible background processes act like a massive drain on the device's energy.
So it's basically multitasking, even when I think it's asleep in my purse.
Spot on. And there's a second layer to this, which really has to do with how the device uses its internal space. We tend to think of storage on a phone or a computer like a physical closet.
Okay, how so?
Well, if you have a closet, you can usually cram just one more heavy winter sweater into the back corner, force the door shut, and the closet still functions as a closet.
Right. The sweater doesn't break the closet.
But a digital device doesn't work like a physical closet. The operating system, which is basically the invisible brain running your phone or your computer, actually needs physical room to work. It needs breathing room.
Breathing room, okay, I like that.
To use another analogy, imagine you want to read a large newspaper. To do that comfortably, you need empty space on your kitchen counter to unfold it. That empty counter space is your device's free storage.
Ah, I see where you're going with this.
Yeah, if your counter is already completely covered in old junk mail, unread letters, and takeout menus, you have no room to open the paper. You have to frantically shuffle things around just to clear a tiny little square.
Which takes time and energy. So when a device gets close to being completely full, it fundamentally slows down because it literally does not have the empty counter space to think and process new information.
You nailed it. It is constantly shuffling old data around just to open a single text message. Freeing up even a few gigabytes of space gives it that counter space back.
Which makes a highly noticeable difference in speed, I would imagine.
A huge difference. The device stops struggling to find room to work, and suddenly everything feels incredibly fast again.
Okay, understanding that mechanism really helps. We know the device needs breathing room, that empty counter space, to run smoothly. But knowing that and actually fixing it are two very different things.
Oh, definitely. It can be intimidating.
Yeah, opening up a phone to clean it feels like staring into a messy, packed garage and having absolutely no idea which box to open first. So where do we actually start making space?
We start by taking the guesswork out of it entirely. You just let the device tell you what the problem is. Every modern smartphone, tablet, and computer has a built-in storage monitor.
Okay, that sounds easy enough.
It is. On an iPhone or an iPad, it's tucked into the general settings under storage. Android devices have a similar storage menu right in their main settings. And Windows computers have a storage section in their system settings.
And we aren't going to read out a manual of every single button to press because our listeners are more than capable of finding the settings menu.
Right, right.
The important part is what you actually see when you open that storage screen, what's on there.
You see a ranked list. The operating system calculates exactly what is taking up the most room and puts the biggest offenders right at the very top.
Oh, so it does the hard work for you.
It really does.
Yeah.
Usually your photos and videos are sitting at the #1 spot, followed pretty closely by your apps. This list is essentially your personalized roadmap. It tells you exactly where your 20 minutes of cleanup time will have the biggest impact.
And the senior techie says the quickest win, like the fastest way to see an immediate improvement, is to look at those apps.
Yes, the apps are low-hanging fruit.
So when you scroll through that ranked list, you want to look for the software you haven't touched in months. Maybe it's a puzzle game you played once with a grandchild last Thanksgiving.
Or a fitness tracker you tried in January and completely abandoned by February.
Right. The rule of thumb here is if you haven't opened it in 3 months and you can't immediately remember what it does, it needs to go.
It's a ruthless approach, but it's really necessary.
But, deleting an app, it feels really permanent to me. Deleting an app feels permanent, like throwing out a perfectly good but unused appliance. What if I want it back?
I hear that all the time.
Like, what if I delete an airline app I use once a year and I lose all my frequent flyer data or my saved preferences? That would be a nightmare.
That anxiety is incredibly common. But the tech companies actually realized this was a hurdle, and they built a really clever solution. If you use an Apple device, there is a brilliant feature called Offload.
Offload. Okay, how does that work?
When you look at an app in that storage list, instead of choosing to delete it, you choose to offload it. Android devices have a very similar feature now, usually called auto-archiving.
And what does offloading or archiving actually do behind the scenes? Does it just hide it?
Better than that, it removes the heavy space-hogging machinery of the app itself, like the code, the graphics, the core program. But it keeps all your personal data safely saved on your phone in a tiny file.
Oh, wow. So my passwords and settings are safe.
Yes. The app icon even stays right there on your screen, just with a little cloud symbol next to it.
That is so smart. So 6 months from now, when I suddenly need that airline app for a trip, I just tap the icon.
You just tap it. The phone quickly re-downloads the machinery from the internet, and you pick up right where you left off. You don't even have to log back in.
That is fantastic.
And Android handles this by hibernating apps you haven't used in a while, removing their permissions and temporary files to free up space while keeping your personal data completely intact. Either way, you get the physical space back without the fear of permanent deletion.
Okay, that covers the physical storage really well. We've offloaded the heavy apps, so the brain of the device has its counter space back to think. But honestly, even if my phone is running at lightning speed, I still feel stressed when I unlock it.
I know exactly what you mean.
It's like cleaning out the closet by throwing all the clothes onto the bed. The structural problem is solved, but the clutter is still right in my face. We need to transition from clearing physical space to clearing visual space.
Visual calm is a huge part of digital hygiene. For a lot of seniors, or anyone really, A cluttered screen with dozens of brightly colored icons is just a major source of daily friction.
It's overwhelming.
It is. When you unlock your device, you should only see what you actually use on a daily basis.
The vital tools, like the phone dialer, your text messages, your camera, maybe your email, those should really live on the bottom row of your screen.
Which on Apple devices is called the dock.
Right, the dock. That row stays visible no matter what page you swipe to, which is super helpful.
As for everything else, you can kind of corral the chaos by grouping apps together. By pressing and holding an icon until it wiggles, you can just drag it onto another app to create a folder.
And you can name those folders, right?
Yeah, you can name them with simple, obvious titles like health, or travel, or banking. It immediately reduces the visual noise on the screen.
And for iPhone users, if even folders feel like too much visual clutter, you can actually hide entire pages of apps from your home screen.
Yes, I love that feature.
They don't get deleted, they just live quietly out of sight in the app library, which you can always access by swiping all the way to the right. It's just a really great way to maintain a minimalist screen.
Achieving that visual quietness is crucial.
Yeah.
But we also have to address the other sensory overload, the auditory quietness.
Oh, the endless pings, buzzes, and chimes. It never stops.
The constant demands for your attention. Here's something many people really don't realize. You have the power to take back your notification permissions. When you first download an app, it almost always asks for permission to send you notifications. Most of us, just eager to get through the setup process, we tap allow and don't think twice.
We just assume we're locked into that choice forever.
But we aren't. We can go into the settings, whether it's the notifications menu on a phone or the system notifications on a Windows computer, and we can see a master list of every single app that has permission to interrupt our day.
And you should just ruthlessly curate that list. I mean, a news app might need to notify you of a major global event, sure, but a retail app does not need to vibrate your pocket to announce a 10% off sale.
Or a mobile game dinging at 8 p.m. to remind you to play it. It's ridiculous.
Wait, just to clarify for everyone listening, when we turn off these notifications, are we blocking the app from working entirely? Like, will it break?
Not at all. The app will continue to function flawlessly. It will still process your prescription refills. It will still load your shopping cart, and it will still update all its content.
Okay, good.
The only thing you are changing is its ability to tap you on the shoulder. You are telling the app to sit quietly in the corner until you specifically decide to open it and interact with it.
I really love that framing. You are taking back control of your attention. The device works on your schedule, not the other way around.
That is so true.
Now, we've tamed our pocket devices. The phones and tablets have breathing room and visual calm, but what happens when we move to the big screens? I'm talking about our laptop and desktop computers and those heavy files that cause the most severe hair-pulling slowdowns.
Oh, computers are a whole different beast.
Yeah.
The absolute best place to start on a computer is the desktop.
Really? The desktop.
Yeah. For a lot of folks, saving a document, a photo, or an internet shortcut straight to the desktop is just muscle memory. It's super convenient at the time. But over months and years, that screen turns into a mosaic of hundreds of tiny overlapping icons.
And it's more than just an eyesore, right? It actually degrades the performance of the machine.
Significantly. And the mechanics of why that happens are actually really interesting. Every single icon sitting on your desktop is a file that the computer's operating system has to actively track and render visually at all times.
Wait, so it's always working on them?
Yes. It keeps the image of that file loaded in its active memory so it is ready the literal millisecond you click it.
So if I have 100 icons on my desktop, my computer is constantly juggling 100 balls just to display the background image.
Pretty much. When you have that much clutter, the computer really struggles to simply wake up from sleep mode or turn on in the morning because its very first task is to render all those files.
That sounds exhausting for the poor machine.
It is. The fix is to move the documents you're actively working on into a proper folder, like your Documents folder, and just delete the old program shortcuts you never click. Getting those icons off the main screen is the digital equivalent of taking a really heavy backpack off your computer.
I love that. And speaking of heavy backpacks, we really have to talk about the Downloads folder. It is basically the digital attic of the computer.
Oh, it's a hidden goldmine of waste. Whether you are on a Mac looking in the Finder or on a Windows computer looking in this PC menu, the Downloads folder is just where everything goes by default.
Yeah, every PDF receipt from an online purchase, every installer file for a program you set up 3 years ago, every funny video a relative emailed you. it all just piles up in the dark.
And you forget it's even there.
If you go into that folder and you sort the files by size, so the biggest ones are at the top, and just start deleting the old junk, you will be stunned by how much space you reclaim in like 5 minutes. It is a deeply satisfying cleanup project.
It really is. Now, there's one more major warning sign we need to cover before we wrap up, and this applies back to phones and tablets as well. The senior techie points out that if your device regularly pops up with a warning message that says, storage almost full, you cannot ignore it.
Right. We mentioned earlier how the operating system needs counter space to think. When you see storage almost full, it means your device has completely run out of counter space. It is gasping for air.
Literally gasp.
And almost every single time, the main culprit behind that warning is your photo and video library.
Without a doubt. High-resolution cameras on modern phones take gorgeous pictures, but those files are massive. They eat up gigabytes of space incredibly fast.
So what's the solution?
The solution is twofold. First, ensure your photos are backing up to a cloud service, whether that is iCloud, Google Photos, or something else.
Okay.
Second, once they are safe in the cloud, you turn on a setting designed specifically to fix this problem. On an iPhone, it's called Optimize iPhone Storage, and you find it right in the Photos settings. Android and Google Photos offer a similar feature called Free Up Space.
But wait, if I optimize my storage, does that mean I won't be able to look at my grandkids' photos whenever I want? Like, do I have to be connected to Wi-Fi to see them?
That is the beauty of the system. You will still see every single photo in your gallery right where you left it. What the optimization does is very clever.
Yeah.
It leaves a smaller, perfectly clear, screen-sized version of the photo on your phone for instant viewing.
Oh, I see.
But it takes the giant, heavy, full-resolution original file, the one with enough data to print a literal billboard, and moves it safely to the cloud.
It's like keeping a beautiful wallet-sized photo with you in your pocket, while the heavy, leather-bound photo album stays safely on the bookshelf at home.
That is an excellent way to picture it. It completely solves the physical storage problem without you losing any access to your memories. Your photo gallery looks the same to your eyes, but the device suddenly feels 50 pounds lighter.
That is incredibly helpful, especially for seniors who cherish those family photos but hate dealing with slow phones. So what does this all mean for you, our listener? We've covered a lot of ground today, exploring the hidden mechanics of background apps, the psychological weight of notification pings, and the invisible burden of a cluttered computer desktop.
We really have.
But the most important takeaway is that you do not have to tackle this all at once.
Please, don't try to overhaul your entire digital life in one afternoon. Pick just one device today. Maybe start with your smartphone.
That's a great place to start.
Check your storage list. Find 5 apps you haven't used since last year and delete or offload them. Go into your settings and turn off the notifications for 10 apps that do nothing but bother you.
Just taking those few small steps will yield an immediate result. Your device will stop feeling like a fragile, frustrating mystery, and it'll start feeling like a helpful tool again. It will run faster, and your screen will be so much quieter.
And that leads to a much broader shift in perspective. When you actively manage these permissions, you actually change your fundamental relationship with technology.
You stop being a passive consumer who just reacts to every buzz, ding, and sluggish screen. You become the boss of your own devices. You set the boundaries. You decide what deserves your attention and what gets to occupy space in your digital life.
But, here is something to mull over now that you've started reclaiming that control.
What's that?
If these companies made these notifications so easy to turn off and these background processes so easy to stop, why are they all turned on by default in the first place?
Oh, that is a fascinating question. What else in our digital environment is set up primarily for the benefit of the software companies rather than for our peace of mind? It's definitely something to think about the next time you download a new app. This podcast was brought to you by The Senior Techie. It's available on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify. If you'd like to keep up with their newsletters, you can subscribe for free by going to subscribe.theseniortechie.com.